What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the W.I.R.E podcast. I, myself, Michael Oakes, am here with my best friend, business partner, and we'll get to our special guest in one moment. But Paul, how we doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. We have an awesome guest. I'm really excited to ask her some questions and unpack what it's like living in Texas. Yeah, really thankful to be here, Mike. So thank you.
Absolutely. And without further ado, our special guest, Miss Lauryn Hunnicutt, all the way from the middle of the America, Texas.
Yeah.
How you doing, Lauren?
Doing great. Yeah, the great old everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yo,
Yep. Thank
So
you
for
guys for
those
having me on today.
Of course, we're glad to have you and very grateful for you to take time out of your busy schedule to come talk to us and the folks that through the screen that we can't see you. But before we ask Lauren any questions, before we go anywhere, just to make sure that she feels the love, everybody like this video, comment what you might want to hear from her or us, and we'll try to give that to you. But Lauren, the woman of the hour, I know you are an elite capital raiser, and I know that's kind of what you're focused on and some first lien positions. For those who don't know what that is, we'll get to that. But what inspired you to raise capital, and how can people do what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And it actually took a lot of trial and error, just like I think a lot of us in real estate and just in life. So a little bit of backstory. I've bought some properties when I was younger. Bought my first property at 21, so I got a little bit of the pains that came with, doing evictions and, trying everything to just try and get some passive income. And the more I dug into it, I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to scale quicker, which, long story short, led me to Pace. And then just digging into Pace, there was a podcast that I was watching that he was on, and his one question was, if you could go back and change anything, what would it be? And he was like, I would learn how to raise capital a lot sooner on in my journey than I did. And I was like, huh, okay. So leaving, I want to say it was Arizona. I drove to the Arizona meetup for Owners Club, and at that point, I had raised some capital, but was not focused on it. I still was, leaning more towards like affordable housing and trying to build my Mount Everest around that. And then the more I came in contact with people and was having conversations, everybody's issue is money. Everybody. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Everybody is like, well, I could always use more capital. So it's like, well, how can I help people? And that's essentially what led me to capital raising.
I love it. So that sounds like it was a transformation. Like you were able to kind of really laser focus in on that. And for somebody that might be interested in trying to start this, where do you think they should start out, and what advice would you give
So I would say definitely. So YouTube University is is my best friend. So I hate to be the person to go saying, hey, the communities that we're in are great. Would pay that 10 times over as far as sub two, Gator, Owners Club. But just to start out, if you are brand new and you don't necessarily have funds to invest, I would say go to YouTube. And then I'm also reading the book that Pace suggested, which is Raising Private Capital by Matt Fairclough. So I just got into that on Audible. Love that book. That's got a lot of like really good nuggets, and Pace talks about that all the time. Is like that was his biggest learning curve when he started reading that book. So I would just say educate yourself and then start going to meetups and put yourself out there. Tell people that that's what you're doing, and then the connections start to build. And don't look for it to happen overnight, because it is very much I would call it a snowball effect. In the beginning, it seems slow and, it doesn't seem like anything's really happening. And then over time, you're like, holy crap, people are actually reaching out to me that I've never met them before, going, hey, do you have any deals where I can place capital? So it's been a cool adventure, to say
I
the least.
love that. That's so cool because Paul and I are getting into the capital raising world, and it is exactly what you're saying. it seems like you're doing all this work with no progress, but you're actually building up your pitch, your steps, and kind of compounding everything. So that way, when a phrase Paul loves to use, when preparation meets opportunity, you're ready to go. But a question I have on it is because trust, right? That's what the biggest thing when it comes to capital. Like I have to trust you with my money. What guarantees? Like, how did you build up that trust level with the people you're going to raise capital for the folks at home who don't know where to even go to start?
Yeah, great question. Because again, that's typically going to be the number one thing that you hear from somebody that's going to be placing their capital with you is like, well, how am I secure? And in that question, it's really, how am I trusting you, right? So they want the paper and kind of the legality of it, but then they also want to know that they can trust you as an individual to never advise them to, to get into a deal that isn't worth it. Or isn't secure. So I would say doing things like this, doing podcasts and putting yourself out there, making those clones, as Pace would say, doing deals, and then also getting testimonials. So what I started doing is the people that have lent on my deals, I will either ask if they'll do some type of either like a written testimonial, but if they can do a video testimonial, that is gold. Just because essentially, nowadays with technology, anybody can write anything in a quick email. So if someone will get on a 30-second to a minute video and just say, hey, I did this with Lauryn and this is how great it was after the deal. And I'll even send a lender like a little gift basket or something for doing that for me, because again, it's building that relationship. But yeah, if you can get that testimonial, that is like the ultimate piece of gold to be able to provide to somebody that is still kind of on that edge.
Lauren, I think that's amazing. I think a lot of people want to do what you want to do, or they want to do what you have been doing. And I feel like the first part in it is just taking the first step, right? Like you have to let people know that you're doing it. Otherwise, they can't read your mind. They don't know what's going on, right? So
Absolutely.
I think Pace made the analogy of like, well, if you're trying to collect rainwater, you need more buckets to fill up the rainwater, right? So if you only have one bucket or one way to make money with people, and you don't elevate your game and get 1% better every day, you're only going to get so much rainwater, and you're going to be thirsty. And I think you've done a great job of that. I see all the testimonials, and I saw you doing a video testimonial for Owners Club, and I was like, dude, this is all full circle. Like, like we all like if you do business with somebody, do a quick video, document it.
Yeah.
It could be the difference between doing 10 deals a year and 100 deals a year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a lot of like I was somebody that wasn't always recording. I really wasn't recording at all in the beginning. And part of me kind of regrets it because I didn't record it because I'm like, oh, that's cringy. I don't want to be that person. Or, I don't really, I'm still learning. I don't really know what I'm talking about yet. But to also for somebody to see that growth that you've had, that again, that builds trust and can show that, you're, like you said, every day 1% and getting better. And then like on our owners club journey that we're on, something that I added to my calendar that I do every day is I learn every day. So I set aside at least 1 hour a day and it could be something, it could be getting on owners club and having a conversation with somebody that does something that I don't do. And we're kind of swapping knowledge, or it could be, getting on Audible and listening to an audiobook. It doesn't always have to be like sitting down and reading out of a book, but taking that 1 hour a day to make sure that I'm always learning something new has really been a game changer.
That's incredible. That's so cool. And the way that you kind of scaled your business is really incredible too. Like you took something that you were passionate about, and then you've just been able to grow it and grow it and grow it. So what were the biggest steps in creating that scaling for you?
So honestly, I would say the first step for me and really that big change that I saw in my business was implementing a CRM system. Um, because before a lot of it was, just notes in my phone or notes in my calendar, or maybe I would connect with somebody and I'd take notes in their contact card, and all that's great. That's a great starting place. But I started to get to a point to where, I still have a W-2. So I manage my dad's glass company. I've got rentals. So there's a lot going on, to where I was starting to not be able to manage it all just in my head anymore. So having that CRM system to keep everything in check and go, hey, I had this conversation with Paul last week and he expressed he was interested in this deal, reach back out. Just helping to manage those relationships, because I think relationships in this game are super important, but especially in capital raising, because that trust and credibility is, in my opinion, even more so heavy on the capital raising side, because again, it is somebody that's essentially handing you money and going, hey, like, please, I'm trusting you, and it's their hard-earned money. So you want to make sure that you're going above and beyond to make sure that you not only do what you say you're going to do, but even provide more than what you said you were going to do. So that CRM system really helped to take my relationships to the next level. And I think that was really where I started to grow in my capital raising.
Who do you use for your CRM, real quick?
Good question. So Lee Mansfield, he's in Gator. I believe he also is a TC, but he built out my Go High Level. So he's Go High Level for Gators.com, I believe is his website. So it customizes to whatever your business style is. So he has sub 2 people, he's got me and Owners Club, he's got Gators and TC. So it's custom built. And then he actually does a call with you that's included in that every week. So it kind of, he helps to continuously grow your system as your business grows.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Hey, if you got an affiliate link, send it this way. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's right down here, folks.
Yeah.
You're right down here. Yeah.
That's awesome. So it sounds like managing all of your relationships is really important. You need to get organized. You need to be able to track everything. And I feel like sometimes I'm guilty of this too, Lauren. Like I'll make 100 phone calls on my phone and then, they'll call me back and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't remember what we were talking about, sometimes you make 1,000 phone calls in one day. It's hard to remember, a random number that you'll never see again. And so it's so important to be able to track that and to keep it all organized. And that's awesome that you're able to implement a CRM. And then, it's kind of like from there, you just have to scale, right? Because you're able to handle the workload. You're more efficient. So, Lauren, I want to ask you, when you're working with this CRM and you're trying to keep everything organized, do you have an operator or like an integrator that may do managing that CRM, or are you the one in the captain's chair steering the ship?
So it started out with me doing it. And then I hired a VA. The VA, she did good, but it was a lot of, I felt like I kind of had to babysit, and it became more of a headache for me to go, oh, wait, I had to check every step. So I was like, I'd rather pay more for quality. And, she was doing to the best of her ability, but I'd rather pay for somebody that I don't have to babysit so much, so then I can go and focus and I don't have to retrace every step that she's made and then make sure everything gets fixed. So then I kind of took it back over. And then Lee is also offering integrator. He offers being an integrator. So I brought him in. So he is my integrator part-time. So on our calls, that's kind of what we go over is, my CRM is pretty much built out to where I need it to be, at least for this moment of where I'm at in my business. So now our calls have turned more into him being my integrator and, what I need him to do over the next week, and how he, with a visionary brain, I can tell him all these things that I want to do and he can go, oh, yep, no problem. We can send out, this email and do this questionnaire and this poll, and he knows how to do it. And I can just kind of drown him in all my visionary thoughts, and he knows, where to put them. So my next step will be finding an operator. So that'll probably be within the next 6 months. That's my goal.